Welcome to Ignorantia Legis. Okay. Ignorantia Legis, and it is the 28th of October 2020, and we are now on our 27th episode. Okay. So, welcome nyo din mga kaigsunan. Thank you for being with us. Para anak, gi-adjust gamay yung mga kaigsunan ha. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Select color. Sorry lang yun mga kaigsunan ha, kay nakuan. Na nawa ang adjustment sa ano ko niya. Okay, sige na lang ka na, pwede na. And okay, so discuss kita karong adlaw sa atong episode. We're back to introduction to mercantile law. Okay, so I hope clear yun ha. And then here. So ato na nang na-discuss ang mga introductory items sa corporation law sa items sa introduction to mercantile law. Now na mga topics, letters of credit, let's say the negotiable instruments law. Mao ni siya mga lisod nga topic sa mercantile law, negotiable instruments law, grabe kay na mga cheque. And then mga letters of credits, mga LC, and then this are not to discuss on because that's too detailed. And I think what will be more relevant for you are the insurance code, banking laws, and of course the corporation law. Now natong corporation law mga kaigsunan, and na yung mga changes sa revised corporation code, but the principles are the same. Okay. So business organizations, types of business organizations. Nakibaw siguro mo kanang gitawag og sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship, o saan siya ka-form of a business organization with only one proprietary owner. Only one proprietary owner. So, kung siya? Only one proprietary owner. And later on, because of the new revised corporation law, we have what is called as the OPC, one person corporation. Dili na allowed sa una, karon na nay one person corporation, OPC. Next are what is called as joint accounts or quintas in participation. Joint accounts, dili na siya corporation, dili na siya partnership, dili siya na proprietorship, but it's a simple business arrangement, and this is defined by the Code of Commerce, and this has not been specifically repealed yet. So, quintas in participación, this is joint accounts. And daghang mga Chinese businessmen are actually doing this. Sa una pa, doing this one. Now, joint accounts. Third is partnership. Partnership is a business arrangement where two or more persons bind themselves to contribute money, property, or industry to a common fund with the intention of dividing the profits among themselves. Civil Code Article 1767. Bantay mo. Nilukso na ta sa Article 1767 o pag nagta makaabot sa Article 20 sa Civil Code. Manay problema sa law kay di ka maingon nga di pwede malukso ta. We have to go there because a lot of these are interrelated. Number 4, joint venture. Joint venture, an organization formed for some temporary purpose, which is hardly distinguishable from partnership, since their elements are similar and have community of interests in the business, sharing of profits and losses, and a mutual right of control. It is a form of particular partnership, having in its object a specific undertaking rather than a general, ongoing business concern. So it is a form of a particular partnership, having in its object a specific undertaking. It's not a general, ongoing business concern. So Auerbach versus Sanitary Wares in 1989. Number 5, is the fifth form of a business organization, the cooperative. It is a duly registered association of persons with common bond of interest who have voluntarily joined together to achieve lawful, common, social, or economic end, making equitable contributions to the capital required and accepting a fair share of the risks and benefits of the undertaking in accordance with the universally accepted cooperative principles. That is from the RA Republic Act 6938 Section 3. Definition of a cooperative. Business trust. Number 6, business trust. A business arrangement whereby one or more persons called trustors convey their property or business to another called a trustee so that the latter may use such properties or manage such business for the benefit of a trustor of the trustor or to a completely different third person. This is called the Civil Code Article 1440. Now, number 7, corporation. A corporation is an artificial being. So, it's a separate artificial being. Artificial, created by operation of law, having the rights of succession and the powers attributes and properties expressly authorized by law or incident to its existence. Corporation Code Section 2. Note, a corporation is a special type of business trust where the corporators convey their property to the corporation, which then conducts business using the properties conveyed to it for the benefit of the corporators. Now, again, there's one type of corporation, the new one, the OPC, one-person corporation. Now, joint accounts or cuentas in participación. It is a business arrangement whereby two or more persons interest themselves in the business of another, making contributions thereto and participating in the results of the business in the proportion they may determine. Code of Commerce, Article 239. So, nailaing persons nga muhatag na kwarta from the outside for sila passive investors. Now, what is the difference between a partnership and a joint account or a cuentas in participation? By the way, di ni pareha ng joint account sa bangko ha. Lain ng joint account sa bangko. This is a business arrangement called the cuentas in participation. As to common name, with respect to commercial partnership, a common name can be adopted. Civil Code, Article 1815. As to joint account, no common name can be adopted. Actually, common name is just Code of Commerce, Article 241. As to common fund, the commercial partnership, there is a common fund under Civil Code, Article 1767. But as to cuentas in participation or joint account, there's no common fund. Code of Commerce, Article 239. As to juridical personality, a commercial partnership has a separate juridical personality. Civil Code, Article 1768. But with respect to cuentas in participation, or what is called as a joint account, there is no juridical personality, and it's just the person who's conducting the business who is responsible for it. Evangelista versus CIR and CTA in 1957. Grabe yan, kasuhan 1957. As to the liability of partners, in a commercial partnership, all partners are liable. That's under the Civil Code, Article 1816. With respect to the cuentas in participation, only the ostensible partner is liable. So, katong passive investors dito liable. Code of Commerce, Articles 241 to 242. Ay ko pautaan na kung sa number sa Code of Commerce because it is so old. It doesn't have any number. As to management, commercial partnerships, all the partners participate in the management unless they agree to have a managing partner. Civil Code, Article 18031. And as to cuentas in participation or joint account, as to management, is managed by the ostensible partner alone, and he alone is liable. Code of Commerce, Article 242. By the way, ostensible partner, that means the partner nga may nakitaan sa mga tao. Ostensible. Visible. Similarities of commercial partnership and joint accounts or cuentas in participation. 1. In the absence of stipulation, shares in profits will be in proportion to that of a limited partner. Okay, shares and profits should be in proportion to that of a limited partner. Similarities between commercial partnership and joint account or quintas in participation. Number 2, liability for losses as a limited partner up to the extent of investment. So these are the similar items to them, similarities between partnership and joint account. And number 3, the right on accounting. So the passive investors, of course, have the right on accounting. And 4, where the business is sufficiently large, appointment of a receiver is allowed in case of mismanagement by the merchant. Remember this one. When the business is sufficiently large, appointment of a receiver is allowed in case of mismanagement by the merchant. Now, what is the difference between a partnership and a corporation? As to governing law, partnership is governed by the civil code. Whereas the corporation is governed by the corporation code. As to creation, partnership is created by mere agreement of the partners. Civil Code Article 1784. Torres versus Court of Appeals in 1999. However, for the corporation, it is created by operation of law. As to number of organizers, may be organized by at least 2 persons. Civil Code Article 1767. And as to the corporation, the number of organizers, at least 5 incorporators, but the revised corporation code even now allows even 1 person, the 1-person corporation or the OPC. And of course, what is called as the corporation sole, Corporation Code Section 110. Now, the corporation sole, by the way, is recognized by the Philippine courts. Example of a corporation sole is the Archbishop of Cebu. He is by himself, alone, a corporation sole. And the Archbishop of Manila is by himself, alone, a corporation. It's called a corporation sole. Now, do not be confused between the corporation sole and the 1-person corporation, which is now allowed. I think it took effect last year, 2019, the revised corporation code. As to commencement of juridical personality, it acquires a separate but weak juridical personality from the perfection of the contract of partnership. Civil Code Article 1768. That's the partnership. As for the commencement of judicial personality for a corporation, it acquires the juridical personality from the date of issuance of the certificate of incorporation by the SEC. As to firm name, the partnership shall operate under a firm name which may or may not include the name of one or more partners, provided a person whose name appears on the firm name is presumed to be a general partner. Article 1815. With respect, the firm name, with respect to a limited partnership is required by law to add the word limited to its name. Civil Code Article 1844. If it's a limited partnership, then it must be limited. Limited partnership means the partners have limited liability, and their limit is the amount of their investment, and they cannot be pursued by creditors after their wealth or money beyond their original investment. Now, as to firm name, the corporation may adopt any name provided it is not the same as or confusingly similar to any registered firm name. Corporation Code, Section 18. As to management, unless agreed upon, every partner is an agent of the partnership. Every partner is an agent of the partnership. Article 1803. So the partner binds the partnership. Now, if we're talking about the corporation as to management, the power to do business and to manage its affairs is vested in the board of directors or trustees. Corporation Code, Section 23. As to extent of liability to third persons, partners, except limited partners, are liable pro rata with all their property for all partnership debts and liabilities. Civil Code, Article 1816, 1824, and 1848. Now, kung partnership ka, nag-invest ka 1 million sa yung partnership, na lugi mo, in fact, utangan pa mo, nakaibalay sa inyo, your creditors can go after your house over and above your original investment of 1 million. Money partnership. The only exception is that if you are a limited partner. But if you are a limited partner, then there must be the name limited attached to the firm name, so that the creditors would know that although you're a partner, your liability is limited only up to the amount you invested, not beyond. So, di mapil imong balay, di mapil imong auto. That is with respect to extent of liability to third persons for a partnership. Now, as to corporation, stockholders are liable only to the extent of the shares subscribed by them. Limited liability feature, Bustos versus Millions Shoe in 2017. By the way, to the extent of the shares that you subscribe. If you subscribe for shares equivalent to 1 million pesos, but you only put in money of 250,000 pesos for the moment, that means you have an unpaid liability, unpaid subscription of stocks for the corporation of 750,000. And then if the company goes down, and then the stockholders or creditors are suing the company, the stockholders, you as a stockholder, although you invested only 250,000, but you subscribed, o ning promise na ka, you subscribed to buy 1 million, then you are liable up to 1 million of your shares. Not only to the 250,000 which you initially invested, but for the unpaid subscription totaling 750,000. So, liable kaya pong kato. So, imong total liability will be 250 plus 750. As to transfer of interest, partner cannot transfer his interest in the partnership so as to make the transferee a partner without the unanimous consent of all. That's the problem with partnership. Everybody. You cannot sell your partnership portion without the approval of all of the other partners. Okay, otherwise, mapugo sila ma-partner sila lang tao nga di mo ganahan. Stockholder. Stockholder has generally the right to transfer his shares without prior constraint, without prior consent of the other stockholders, because the corporation is not based on this particular person, no? So, prior consent in corporations is not necessary when you sell a corporation. Your stocks in the corporation. Except, again, naging exception. Nya mo na bar exam. Except when you have what is called as a closed corporation. CLOEC. Now, a closed corporation is not the same as a family corporation, okay? Dahil ng closed corporation, dahil ng concept of family. Now, as to terms of existence, partnership may be established for any period of time stipulated by the partners, except that it shall be dissolved even before such agreed term upon any cause under Article 1830 and 1831 of the Civil Code. So, Civil Code Article 1785 and 1828. As to term of existence, the corporation, karon under the revised corporation law, the corporation no longer has any term limits. As to right of succession, partnership. The partnership, now by the way, we are now comparing partnership versus a corporation. These are two of the many different types of business organizations. Partnership has no succession, as it is dissolved when any partner ceases to be associated in the carrying on of the business, of the partnership business. Article 128. When it says succession, it's actually dissolved the moment somebody dies or no longer is a partner. So succession, the corporation has a right of succession. Corporation Code Section 2 and 11. As to dissolution, partnership. A partnership dissolved by any of the causes enumerated under Article 1830 and 1831, which may be voluntary or involuntary on the part of the partners. Civil Code 1828. Now, with respect to dissolution of the business organization, in the case of corporation, in all cases, dissolution requires the consent of the state. That means to say, the SEC will. The Securities and Exchange Commission will approve the dissolution. Okay? You cannot just dissolve yourself as a corporation because you're created by law, and you'll be dissolved by law because you might have creditors. May utangan mo. Now, concept of a corporation. Concept of a corporation. So I hope you're following. Namina na taron si Joshua Buendia from Caloocan City, Wilson Herrera sa Guba, Agnes Sabaldan from Talisay, Alex Ong gikan sa barangay lahog. Barangay lahog. Concept of a corporation. Attributes of a corporation. 1. It is an artificial being, the corporation. Number 2, it is created by operation of law. Number 3, it has the right of succession by its name. And 4, it possesses the powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incident to its existence. Now, what is the doctrine of corporate entity? Doctrine of separate personality. Corporations are juridical persons to which the law grants a juridical personality, separate and distinct from that of each shareholder. Civil Code Article 40. It is a fundamental principle of corporation law that a corporation is an entity separate and distinct. Separate and distinct from its stockholders and from other corporations to which it may be connected. But this separate and distinct personality of a corporation is merely a fiction created by law for convenience and to promote justice. Concept Builders versus NLRC in 1996. So how are private corporations created? 1. By general law. Private corporations are generally created under the provisions of the Corporation Code. This is done by filing the Articles of Incorporation (AOI) with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Number 2, by special law. Private corporations, as a general rule, cannot be created by special laws. The only exception, kasi exception yun, may magawas ang par, is the creation of government-owned or controlled corporations which may be organized under the Corporation Code or by special law. Feliciano versus Commission on Audits in 2004. Now, theories on the corporation formation, like why does the state allow corporations with separate fictional personality to be created? Number 1, concession theory. A corporation is an artificial creature without any existence until it has received the imprimatur of the state according to law through the Securities and Exchange Commission. State of Perkins versus Binget Consolidated in 1968. Note, this is also known as the fiat theory or the government paternity theory or the franchise theory. So, concession theory, fiat theory, government paternity theory, or franchise theory, these are all the same names for concession theory. Theory number 2, theory of corporate enterprise. It is not legal fiction alone that creates a corporate entity. Any state grant presupposes the existence of consent or common venture among those who will form the corporation. The corporation fiction cannot be created unless there is an enterprise or group upon whom it would be conferred. Philippine Stock Exchange versus Court of Appeals in 1997. Note, there is no conflict between the concession theory and the enterprise theory. The enterprise theory, however, incorporates an aspect of the Ignorantia theory. Under the Ignorantia theory, this is a corporation may be created by mere consent, independent of state franchise. Now, this was rejected in the State of Perkins case. However, the enterprise theory recognizes the reality of a social aggregation which is necessarily presupposed by state fiat. Now, franchises of corporation. Primary or corporate franchise or general franchise. This is the right to exist and act as a corporation after its incorporation. That's the primary or corporate franchise. Number two, the secondary or the special franchise refers to the rights or privileges conferred upon an existing corporation, such as the right to use the streets of a municipality to lay pipes or tracks, erect poles, or string wires. National Power, Napocor versus City of Cabanatuan in 2003. What is the difference within the theory of the primary and the secondary franchise of a corporation? Hindi siya franchise sa Jollibee, ha? Franchise niya means the authority to operate given by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Vested, okay, primary and secondary franchises of a corporation. As to whom vested? Primary. In the case of a primary franchise, it is vested in the individuals who compose the corporation. Now, secondary franchise, it is vested. To whom is it vested? It is vested in the corporation after its incorporation and not upon the individuals who compose the corporation. As to alienability, the corporate franchise, the general franchise cannot be sold or transferred or conveyed as to alienability. But the secondary franchise, it may be sold or transferred under a general power granted to a corporation to dispose of its properties without prejudice to special limitations. Napocor versus Cabanatuan. Now, the advantages of using the corporate as a medium of doing business. Corporation ka. Number one, strong juridical personality. It has legal capacity to act and to contract as a distinct person in its own name. And it has the continuity of existence. So, Remo Jr. versus Intermediate Appellate Court in 1989. Number two, these are advantages of using a corporation. Number two, centralized management. Its management is centralized in the board of directors, to whom also are granted corporate powers under Section 23 of the Corporation Code. Great Asian Sales versus CA in 2002. Number three, we're talking about the advantages of using a corporation to to do business. Number 3, limited liability to investors. Liability of investors is limited to their subscription of the shares, subject to certain exceptions. San Juan versus Court of Appeals in 1998. Number 4, we're talking about advantages of using the corporation. Free transferability of the units of investment. As a general rule, shares of stock can be transferred without the consent of other stockholders. Remo versus Court of Appeals, 1989. Now remember, kung ka na kay founders shares and with limitation as to transfer, or na kay you are formed as a closed corporation, then there are certain rules, restrictions as to whom you can alienate or you can sell it to. Classification of corporations. Stock corporation. A corporation which has capital stock divided into shares and is authorized to distribute to holders of such shares dividends or allotments of the surplus profits on the basis of shares held. Corporation Code. Notes: although a corporation has capital stock divided into shares, if it is not authorized to distribute dividends and allotment of surplus and profits to its stockholders, it may not be classified as a stock corporation because it lacks the second requisite. Republic versus City of Parañaque in 2012. So that is stock corporation. Number 2, non-stock corporation. It is a corporation where no part of its income is distributable as dividends to its members, trustees, or officers. So the dividends, non-stock corporation. So dili madato ang members. Classified as to methods of organization and purpose, the corporation. Number 1, public corporation. The state and its political subdivisions. Article 444, parenthesis 1. By the way, magkaigsa na, lahi ng company going public. Sabutan na, it's a private corporation selling its shares to the general public. So there's a company going public. This is a private corporation going public. So in the stock market, you go to the stock market, you want to be listed on the stock market. And when you want to be listed on the stock market, you will issue shares to the public. It could be your initial public offering or IPO. Then that is going to the general public. But you are not a public corporation. You are a listed corporation. Now, under the law, the definition under our law is, if you're a public corporation, that means it refers to the state itself, the Republic of the Philippines, and its political subdivisions. Public corporations are created for the purpose of governing the state or gitawag to governmental purpose. Example, public corporations are created by general law. Article 7160, the Local Government Code, or the Bangsamoro Organic Law, RA 11054. Or B, created by special law. Public corporation, created by special law, RA 409, or the revised charter of the City of Manila. Or if you have the charter of Cebu City, the charter of Lapu-Lapu City, those are special laws making the City of Cebu as a public corporation, not a private corporation. It's a corporation, public corporation. So number 2, private corporations. Okay, private corporations. Private corporations. Corporations for private interest or purpose to which the law grants a juridical personality separate and distinct from that of each shareholder. Civil Code Article 44, parenthesis 3. All private corporations are created under the Corporation Code. Congress cannot enact a law creating a private corporation with special charter. Such legislation would be unconstitutional. Private corporations may exist only under a general law. Feliciano versus COA in year 2004. Number 3, a quasi-public corporation. So you have number 1, public corporation, 2, private corporation, number 3, quasi-public corporation. What is a quasi-public corporation? A quasi-public corporation is our corporations, institutions, and entities created by law for public interest and purpose. Civil Code Article 44, parenthesis 2. Parenthesis 2. Okay. Si Shirley Chua, maing hapon ko no, feast dero ni St. Jude, Tony Reda, namina to ron, og si Felipe Mendoza. Now, what are examples of quasi-public corporations? A, the Social Security System, SSS. B, GSIS. C, PAGCOR, Philippine Gaming Corporation. D, Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office, PCSO. E, Local Water Districts. And F, Land Bank of the Philippines. Note, these are corporations which are not strictly public in the sense of being organized for governmental purpose, but whose operations contribute to the comfort, convenience, and welfare of the general public. Government-owned and controlled corporations, GOCC, and sana sila. GOCCs, corporations organized as stock or non-stock corporations, vested with functions relating to public needs, with their governmental or proprietary nature, and owned by the government directly or through its instrumentalities, either wholly or to the extent of at least 51% of its capital stock. Revised Administrative Code, Section 2, parenthesis 13. Note, not all GOCCs are quasi-public corporations. GOCCs without original charters are organized under the Corporation Code and are therefore not considered as quasi-public corporations. They are merely private corporations which are owned by the government, capitalized, and run for public benefit. Corredor Foundation versus example, Corredor Foundation and Philippine Electricity Market Corporation. The wholesale electricity market. Now, government as a corporator of a corporation. As a member of a corporation organized under the Corporation Code, the government never exercises its sovereignty. It merely acts as a corporator. The mere fact that the government happens to be a majority stockholder of a corporation does not make it a public corporation. As a private corporation, it has no greater rights, powers, or privileges than any other corporation organized for the same purpose under the Corporation Code. National Code versus the Court of Industrial Relations in 1924. Gaya, no? 1924. Okay. All right. Now, classified as to legal rights to corporate existence. One is de jure corporation or de jure corporation, and de facto corporation, de jure corporation, G-U-R-E, Latin man, de jure. De jure corporation, a corporation created in accordance with the provisions of the Corporation Code. De facto corporation, an association of persons existing under a valid law, under which it may be incorporated after having attempted in good faith. Remember, there must be good faith. So, dili na good faith, sindikato na. In good faith to incorporate an assuming corporate power. Seventh-day Adventists Conference versus Northeastern Mindanao. Number 3, corporation by Stoffel. So, de jure, de facto, corporation by Stoffel. All persons who assume to act as a corporation, knowing it to be without authority to do so. So it's corporation by Stoffel. By the way, like itong de facto. De facto is they really made an attempt, but they lack some requirements, for example, so it's invalid, but in good faith they thought that they had it properly organized. Now, corporation by Stoffel, they know they didn't have an authority, but they presume to act as a corporation. Yung pangilad, di ba? Quasi corporations. A. Organizations resembling corporations. Lahi po itong quasi-public, ha? Kini quasi-corporation. Quasi-corporation. Organizations resembling corporations, exercising some functions or powers of a corporation, although not having been granted a separate legal personality by law. Note, since quasi-corporations do not have a separate legal personality, they are not in a strict sense corporations. Under English common law, quasi-corporations refer to unincorporated organizations which by immemorial usage as have been recognized as a corporation, such as the Roman Catholic Church and its dioceses. As to nationality, classification of corporations as to nationality. It could be a domestic corporation, a corporation formed and organized or existing under Philippine laws, or it could be a foreign corporation formed, organized, or existing under any laws other than those of the Philippines, and whose laws allow Filipino citizens and corporations to do business in its own country or state. So, domestic or foreign. As to existence of the delictus personae feature. Delictus personae. Number 1, open corporation. One which is open to any person who may wish to become a stockholder or member thereof. Delictus personae. Number 2, closed corporation. I mentioned closed corporation earlier. Closed corporation. One whose articles of incorporation provides that A. All of the corporation's issued stock of all classes, exclusive of treasury shares, shall be held on record by not more than a specified number of persons not exceeding 20. B. All the issued stock of all classes shall be subject to one or more specified restrictions on transfer permitted by the title on closed corporations. C. The corporation shall not list in any stock exchange or make any public offering of any of its stock or any class. So that is a closed corporation. It doesn't necessarily have to be a family corporation. Now, ato na lang tiwason ang distinctions, classification of corporations. Now, we can also classify corporations as to being a parent corporation or subsidiary corporation or an affiliate. So 1, a holding or a parent corporation is a corporation which controls another as a subsidiary by the power to elect management. It is one that holds stocks in other companies for purposes of control rather than for mere investments. Number 2, subsidiary corporation. A corporation more than 50% of the voting stock of which is owned or controlled directly or indirectly through one or more intermediaries by another corporation, which thereby becomes its parent corporation. So, na ay parent corporation that owns more than 50% of the voting stock of a subsidiary corporation. Now, affiliate is a corporation that indirectly or indirectly through one or more intermediaries is controlled by or is under the common control of a parent corporation. So that is an affiliate. Now, let's go to another classification of corporations. Remember, corporations can be classified into many things. Whether it's a public or private corporation, whether it's a de jure de facto corporation based open. And now we have another classification of corporations as to number of corporators. Number 1, corporation aggregate. A corporation consisting of more than one person or member. Number 2, corporation sole. A corporation consisting of only one person or member for the purpose of administering and managing as trustee the affairs, property, and temporalities of any religious denomination, sect, or church, or a corporation sole, and may be formed by the chief archbishop, bishop, priest, minister, rabbi, or other presiding elder of such religious denomination, sect, or church. Note, the revised corporation code now allows a second type of corporation sole named as the OPC, the one-person corporation. I mentioned that earlier, which is contrasted from the corporation sole in that the OPC is organized for profit and not for mere administration purposes. Now, as to special classes of corporation. One, ecclesiastical corporation, one that is organized for religious purposes. And there's a special class of corporation also, too, called the eleemosynary corporation, one established for and devoted for charitable purposes or those supported by charity. Eleemosynary corporation. Abot nga nang di lang gitawag charitable corporation. Now, as to listing on the stock exchange, a corporation is deemed to be going public when it decides to list its shares on the stock exchange. These include corporations that will make IPOs, initial public offerings of its shares. These are now publicly listed corporations. So I think we have to stop now and we'll proceed later on with another chapter. Thank you and salamat sa pag-uban kanako episode 27 October 28, 2020 sa Ignorantia Legis. Thank you.